you can have an idea and it might take a long time to come to fruition, but in the end it's worth it. And I did say to him in the end, you did say something to me about writing books and reading books, and I've come back to you with a book. And he goes, you did indeed. Hey everyone, Bertie Brosnan here of Bertie Brosnan Films, and I wanted to do a quick video to talk about an experience I had on my birthday, the 8th of May 2025, the day I turned 40 years old. I met with Seán Duffy of Trinity College Dublin, Ireland's, in my opinion, leading Irish medieval history professor, and it was a proud moment for myself because I met Seán back, I thought it was 2015, it was around 2018. I had contacted him in 2015, but I didn't get the meeting that time, but I did get it in 2018. The reason I mentioned 2015 as well is because this is when the whole journey began in the Boru vision, the research into Brian Boru. The Forgotten Prince, my novella, was gifted to Seán Duffy on my birthday, and this idea, as I said, started with a simple page treatment that I had entered into a pitch competition at Cannes Film Festival when one of my films, Sin Eater, was a part of the short film corner there at Cannes. The year before, Jacob Wrestled with the Angel was a part of the Short Film Corner. In 2018, we got distribution deals for both films at Short Film Corner as well. Now, I mention this is because that's when I first wrote this idea into pitch format. At that point, I had a little idea for the short film at the time. This would subsequently turn into the screenplay King Brian and Brodier in 2023. But my first meeting with Seán Duffy was in 2018, and I definitely think at the time I was a very much, I guess I was a lot more immature than I am. I was 33, but I think I was quite, I guess I didn't really know as much about Boru as I do now, or about the medieval world. So really when I was asking him questions then, the meeting was lovely, and he was a very generous man. He invited me to see his lecture on Edward the Bruce when I learned that Edward the Bruce was technically the last High King of Ireland, which most people don't really know about, but Seán Duffy enlightened me in this. So in 2018 I had some questions for Seán, and that was 7 years ago. At the time I was planning a short film, but actually I had a grander vision at the time, which I still do, about Emperor of the Gael TV series, and I wrote actually a pilot screenplay called Emperor of the Gael, Emperor of the Irish, and I actually got a grant for my second grant that I ever got from the Arts Council for a writing grant to write the script, which I did, and I went on to the Blasket Islands. So 2018 was a very interesting year. And I remember at that meeting, Seán expressing his concern for people not reading books in academia and just generally. And he's completely correct, because people don't read books these days, not as much. But I certainly have read a lot of books, and I struggle with reading books, but I force myself. And actually, in these days, it's a lot harder to read books because we're so, overwhelmed with videos and content. But the point is, I did take a lot from this meeting. And the advice that I kind of took was to think more about writing books. I probably didn't think that at the time, but it certainly burned into my consciousness, because I would return to him 7 years later with a book, the novella, The Forgotten Prince, based on the idea that I had written in 2015. And I had contacted Seán on another occasion to ask for, this was before I bought his book Brian Boru and the Battle of Clontarf, and now I have consistently recommended Seán's books to my audience, and also Seán Duffy's work would be one of my main sources in terms of my work in presenting the videos and writing to my audience. Seán Duffy would lead the way in terms of the academics that I study and research. It was a kind of an amazing moment, because to fast forward, like in 2023, we almost had the film production King Brian and Brodier up and running, and I'm still talking to people at the moment around that project, but we'll see what comes of that. You know, people know that it didn't come to fruition at the time because we had the money in place, but things kind of fell apart a little bit. Nobody's fault, you know, no one had to blame. It's just the way it goes in the film industry. But the short screenplay was written. This was again an evolution of that original document. And then in the end, I ended up with the novella because I couldn't leave my audience down, because I wanted to give them something instead of the movie. And I did. And 250 copies sold. I don't know how many signed copies of that. I think there's like maybe 40 signed copies in total of that sold. And also Seán Duffy owns a signed copy of The Forgotten Prince. And I went there, and he was the most generous soul and the most pleasant man I've met in a very long time. And he was very interested in everything I was doing. He was very interested in my mythological videos. So I've sent on a lot of videos that he may have not seen yet. And he was very interested, very enthusiastic. And I was explaining things to him, and I was asking him questions. And we talked a lot about the state of Ireland in terms of certain areas of, certain areas related to history and how it's all managed in Ireland and stuff. And he has a lot of concerns that I have as well. And I was in the common room with him that he invited me so graciously into, the common room of Trinity College, and I just felt very proud. I remember calling him a legend at one point. I said, "I'm so sorry, like calling you. I'm just such a. I kind of was fanboying a little bit, to be honest. Like I'm in such a. I hate to say, like a little bit of a nerd, like, you know, but I goes, I'm so sorry I called you like a legend." Like he was laughing because he was like being so nice. He was being so nice. He was signing his books for me, and then I signed my copy for him, and he did something way more than me. Like he actually signed a big note into it, like wishing me a happy birthday and dated it and everything. And I felt so bad because mine wasn't dated at all. And really grateful to him, but more importantly for his works. Like he's created a massive amount of work, a massive amount of academic work, which is just absolutely wonderful stuff. And I said it to him on the way over that when I first started reading his books, I found them very difficult, but now I'm a lot better at reading his books. And this is certainly because I forced myself to get better. And Brian Boru and the Battle of Clontarf is the greatest piece of academic work on Brian Boru, I believe, to be honest. And you can really, for me, it covers everything. It covers everything, So, and he did a recent interview on BBC as well, and I thought he was excellent on that, with Alex Wolff and Maura Nivania. I think it's Nivani, I think it is. Apologies if I gotten that wrong. But it was a very good interview as well. I'm just very grateful, and I wanted to share this with you because it just goes to show you that you can have an idea and it might take a long time to come to fruition, but in the end it's worth it. And I did say to him in the end, you did say something to me about writing books and reading books, and I've come back to you with a book. And he goes, you did indeed. And I just said, Gora Mila Mahagut, Akara. And he said, Tá fáilte wrote, Slán. And I said, Slán, I really do want to share my future works with him as well. And, but I don't ever expect anything else from him because he's given me so much. And I would say this is the reason I'm making this video, is because you get out there and do your stuff. Don't ever give up, and reach out to the people you admire. You just never know, they might actually respond. And if they don't respond the first time, try again. I mean, I wouldn't say hound people, but you just don't know. Maybe he or she may respond a few years later. You just don't know. That's what Seán did for me. God bless him. Thank you so much again, Seán, if you ever watch this. Gormila Mago Takara, and Bay made it kind. Slán.